I'm Caleb Giddings for Gun Nuts Media, and today we are talking about the 5 most common lies, BS stories, and lines that people tell in online discussions about guns. For many people, myself included, our introduction to the online firearms community happened in gun forums. I signed up for a firing line account 15, 16 years ago. I haven't been back for a very long time because gun forums largely suck these days, but we have all encountered these phrases, these lies somewhere, whether it's on the firing line, on a gun forum, ar15.com, in Facebook discussions, owners groups, the comment sections on my YouTube videos. Have mercy. But we all run into this stuff. And people tell these stories and they come up with these fabrications because always because they are trying to support some sort of weird opinion that they have. Like the Desert Eagle 50 cal is the perfect weapon for CQB room clearing or something like that. So what are these lies that people will tell you on the internet? Well, I'm glad you asked. Here's the list of the top 5 gun forum lies. Number 5. Well, my friend in Delta Force, SEALs, whatever, direct action unit carries this super awesome weird gun that no one's ever heard of. This one used to be a lot more popular, but since we've been at war for the past, 2017, 11, 16 years, it's gotten a lot less popular because it's become a lot easier to fact check than it used to be. There's a very high likelihood now that if you go on a forum or a comment section and you say, well, my friend in the SEALs carried a Ruger Mark II with an integral suppressor in an ankle holster, there's probably going to be somebody in that discussion who can fact check it. And so this one has fallen off in popularity, especially from where it used to be before we were at a continuous state of war and before things got a lot easier to fact check. But it's still out there. You'll still see it from time to time. And whenever you do see it, if someone says, my friend in a super elite tier 0 unit carries super weird obscure weapon, they don't have a friend in a super elite tier 0 unit, and they probably don't carry that weapon either. Lying liars. Number 4. My gun shoots sub MOA. This one, still common, and this one is dominated by one group of people and then even more so by another subset of that group. And it's dominated by people who are too poor to buy decent rifles, so they buy old beat-up CNR guns or Milsurp guns. And they're like, my Milsurp Yugo Mauser is just as good as your brand spanking new blah blah blah. No, it's not. And it's okay for it to not be that good. And then those guys in that group, there's a subset of them, and they're the guys who buy Mosin Nagants. Then they take their nuggets and they put crappy Archangel accessories all over them and try to pretend that you are turning a perfectly serviceable World War I era rifle into a sniper rifle. You're not. Your Mosin Nagant does not shoot sub MOA at any distance except for maybe contact distance, and even then you're probably going to get a pattern like a shotgun. And you probably lack the skill to shoot your gun at sub MOA levels, even if it was capable of doing that, which it isn't. The big thing with something like this is whenever somebody claims some sort of ridiculous accuracy or performance standard, you see a different version of this on competition shooting oriented forums or defensive shooting oriented forums where people talk about standards and drills. People will say, oh, well, I can shoot a sub 2-second build drill all the time, but then when asked to provide proof of their sub 2-second build drill, like a fucking video, it never shows up. It's because they're lying and they're trying to inflate either their own performance or their gun's performance. Number 3. The guy who says he owns a bunch of really super expensive guns, but defends the crappy gun. So this one happens whenever there's a thread or a video or a piece of content talking about how much brand X sucks. For example, brand X is Taurus. Taurus sucks. Let's say I make a video with a Taurus 1911 and bits fall off of it in the course of the video. There will be somebody who shows up in the comments saying, well, I've owned Wilson Combats and Les Bears and Springfield custom shop guns, but when it comes down to it, I trust my Taurus with my life.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
No, you don't. You don't own Wilson Combats and Les Bears and Springfield Armory custom shop guns and then trust your Taurus with your life. You don't own those guns because you're a liar. Lying liar who tells lies. Anyone who's ever owned a real custom 1911, a Wilson Combat or a Nighthawk or any custom shop 1911 would never then carry a Taurus 1911. Honestly, anybody who's ever owned a decent quality 1911, like one of the good Springfields or a good Colt or a Clackamas Kimber, they're not gonna carry a Taurus or a junky gun. You see it with high points too. Oh, well, my high point's just fine, and I've owned all sorts of brands like Glock and Smith & Wesson and blah, 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 but when it comes down to it, I carry my high point. No, you don't. You're full of crap. Liar. Lie number 2, and this one is around a lot, and this one crops up a ton in any sort of self-defense, home defense related thread or forum. Well, my XYZ brother-in-law, cousin, sister, uncle, friend, whatever, is a cop. And he said, and then in that blank after, and he said, insert whatever crazy piece of possibly illegal self-defense advice the poster is trying to give you. Well, my XYZ is a cop, and he said, you don't need weapon-mounted lights because anybody in your home is a threat. Really? Anybody in your home's a threat. So you've got kids, you've got a 16-year-old daughter, and she snuck her boyfriend in, and you drill him twice in the chest because you didn't bother to identify him with a white light. Now you're going to jail forever. Stuff like that. My best friend is a cop, and he told me that it's okay to shoot somebody in the back while they're running away. It might actually be, but there's a lot of legal framework that needs to go around something like that. My best friend is a cop, and he told me that you should carry staggered FMJ and hollow points so it doesn't look to a jury like you're trying to murder people. All of these things, by the way, are things that I have actually encountered. Whenever you run into that in a gun forum, it's an appeal to authority. The person who's posting it has this crazy opinion up here in their crazy brain that they're trying to justify to you, the reader, and they're just going to lie and say, well, my so-and-so is a cop, and he told me that this thing was okay, like shooting people in your front yard and dragging them into your house and putting a baseball bat in their hand. That's called murder. And here we go with the number 1 most common gun forum lie. You ready for this? I guarantee you've seen it. Oh yeah? Well, my XYZ Blastomatic 9000 has 5,000 flawless rounds through it.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
Oh, woosah, Caleb, woosah. Fucking woosah. No, it doesn't. Alright? I know people who shoot at a high-end competition level. They log their rounds. I log my rounds. Every round I fire goes into a spreadsheet, so I know exactly how many rounds certain guns have fired, whether or not they're approaching important maintenance intervals, and things like that. The guy on the forum who says, my Taurus PT Cruiser has fired 25,000 flawless rounds and never had a malfunction, no, it hasn't. There's a guy who popped up in a comment thread on a friend of mine's who said he had an original Colt SP1 AR-15 that had fired 100,000 rounds and was still on the original barrel. No, it didn't. You're a liar. That never happened. That may have happened in Fantasyland, but it certainly did not happen in the real world. So that's it. That's our list of lies that you see on gun forums, from least popular to most popular. You're probably asking me, why do these people do this? I don't know. Probably because they're crazy. They enjoy a rich fantasy of life. It's mostly harmless until someone starts to believe the things that they're saying, and then it becomes harmful. But we're just here to laugh and have a good time. So the next time you run into somebody who says that my Blastomatic 9000 went through 10,000 flawless rounds and never had a malfunction, you can know that guy's full of crap. Until next time, I'm Caleb Giddings. Remember, run your gun, not your mouth.